Hello, Internet. It is I, the Malik Aaron, and welcome back to Box Office Recap. So, November 2024, how was it? Was it good? Yes, it was very good, in fact. In fact, the month went exactly the way I thought it would, meaning that the beginning of the month was going to be nothing because there was just nothing there. There was no, real big movies. I guess there was Red 1, but that didn't really set the world on fire. But everyone knew that the real money wouldn't start pouring in till the end of the month. With Wicked, Gladiator II, and Moana 2, the trifecta, everyone knew that's when November was going to pop off. That's when everything was going to be great. And lo and behold, that's what happened. And now 2024 won't end on such a depressing note. Thanks to those three movies, mainly Moana 2 and Wicked. Gladiator 2 is not doing as well, but compared to the rest of November, it's doing fantastic. So, yeah. So let's go over November. So, as usual, I'm going to compare my own personal predictions to what actually happened, and let's get started. November 1st, complete waste. It's honestly a waste of time even to talk about this weekend, but I have to. Absolution. Let's talk about that. The latest Liam Neeson flick. I predicted an opening weekend of I think 1 to 2 million. Final total of 3 to 4, something like that. Hit 1.3 million, so I was right there. Its legs were predictably non-existent. I mean, look at this. Yeah, it died real fast. Didn't even hit 3 million. I'm not surprised. These, Liam Neeson action movies, they just it's over. It's just over. The demand is non-existent at this point because there's so many of them and people just don't care anymore. But maybe the Naked Gun reboot next year, it should do better than a lot of these. We'll see how that is. But yeah, for Liam Neeson's action movies, the market's dried up. There's no demand whatsoever. So yeah, this result doesn't surprise me in the slightest. So we move on. Now I'm going to talk about these Bollywood movies because I didn't make videos on them. Here. Ugh. Okay. So here, this was Robert Zemeckis Oscar bait right here. I knew that the moment I saw the trailer for this thing. And I didn't think it was going to go anywhere at the box office, and lo and behold, it went absolutely nowhere. So I predicted an opening weekend of 5 million, final total of 10 to 15, and that's more or less what happened. It hit 4.8 million, and its final total is 12 million. The run is just over, as you can see. So yeah, this was a big ol' L for Robert Zemeckis and Tom Hanks and Robin Wright. So why did this happen? Well, I mean, first of all, the adult market, the drama market is very, I don't know, it's very shaky right now with movies like this. The market's very shaky. There's also the fact that the technology used for the movie may have been a turnoff for some people. Kind of like how Polar Express was a turnoff 20 years ago. So yeah, Robert Zemeckis used, I believe it's AI to digitally de-age the actors in real time. And it just, apparently, I didn't see the movie. None of us did. But, yeah, apparently it didn't look that good. And there's the fact that the whole movie takes place in one location, which feels very experimental, but also it severely limits what you can do. So, not to mention reviews were bad, audience reaction was not good, and lo and behold, you got yourself a bomb. So, yeah, this doesn't surprise me at all. So yeah, a 50 million budget, yeah, bomb. No question about it. Next up, Hit Pig. So opening weekend, I predicted I don't even know, $1 million. I think final total of 3 to 4. I'm probably wrong there. I don't really care. It hit like 1 million, a little over a million, and its life was very short, as you can see. I mean, let's look at that weekend. I mean, how did Wild Robot do? Look at that. In its sixth weekend, just demolished Hit Pig. Wasn't even like, and it went up that weekend too in box office, which makes the victory even more brutal. So yeah, Hit Pig. No one watched it. No one will ever watch it, and that's gonna be its legacy. Lost on a Mountain in Maine is probably gonna have the same legacy because no one saw it. I predicted an open weekend of like less than 500K. It found to like a million, I think. It hit 385K. Didn't even hit $1 million. Its run is very much over. So yeah, nothing else to say about it. I mean, it's a movie that it never really stood a chance. It was only like in 600 theaters. So like, what'd you really expect? And yeah, that was the first weekend of November. A complete waste of time. Thankfully, each weekend in November, things did improve. Okay, things got more interesting each week. So the 8th of November. So this week, second weekend. So first, let's talk about Anora. I think I made a prediction of like 3 to 4 million when it went wide, and the final total by 15 to 20 million. But I had a feeling my numbers were going to be wrong because these limited release movies can be very unpredictable. It didn't quite hit my high of 3 to 4. I hit like 2.5. Its legs haven't been that great, but considering that its status as an awards flick, I imagine it'll get re-released like in January, so it can like play through awards season properly. So I'll probably end up hitting my 15 to 20 million total. But I mean, for what this is, it did okay. They're fine. I mean, for Neon, yes, Neon, it's one of their bigger movies, so good for them. So yeah, I see this making a little bit more money once like award season like really kicks off. Once like Oscar nominations come out and everything. So yeah, it's run. I'd say for what it is, it's fine. It's not like it's actually getting like actual it got actual heat, actual attention, unlike here, which got none whatsoever. So yeah. What's next? Best Christmas pageant ever. Okay. So my prediction for this opening weekend was like 10 to 11 to 12, maybe 10 to 12. Final total like 30 to 40 million, and that's exactly what happened. Open with 10.7, around 10.8 million. It's made 37 million domestically. Its legs have been pretty good. So yeah, and this is a huge, well, I wouldn't say huge, but it is a W for Lionsgate because my God, they have had so much failure in the last few months. It's insane. Like I've never seen so many failures, one after the other, consecutively in a row. Never, not one. All my years of doing these box office prediction videos on YouTube, I have never seen that much failure at once. At least with Disney last year, the failure was spread out a little bit. Like Lionsgate, it was just rapid fire bombs, like Borderlands, The Crow, Never Let Go, Killer's Game, Megalopolis. It was awful. And this managed to actually find an audience. And I believe it's their biggest movie of the year, which that should tell you a lot right there. When your biggest movie only makes like 37 million, something is seriously wrong. Now, next year for Lionsgate will be a lot better by default because you actually have some, biggish movies coming out. You have Ballerina, the John Wick spinoff. Then you have the Michael Jackson biopic. So those two movies alone will make more than all of their 2024 movies combined. So Lionsgate's got that to look forward to. But at least they ended the year on not on the highest high, but not a disastrous low either. So good for them, I guess. What's next? Elevation. Okay. Another movie that I knew no one would watch. I predicted an opening weekend of like maybe a million, final total like 3 to 4. I don't remember. It hit a million, 1.2 million. It just disappeared just completely after 2 weeks. It was just gone. So it's only made like 2 million. Yeah, not surprised. I completely expected this, and we move on. Heretic. Okay. Heretic. I saw Heretic because the trailer drew me in. I was really interested in it. I saw it. It's pretty good. Hugh Grant was great. And I liked, the movie. It's not for everyone, though. It's kind of like a big brain movie. It's very much, your brain needs to be on at all times. It's one of those type of movies. It's not a turn your brain off popcorn flick. That's not what this is at all. So it's not going to be for everyone, but I did enjoy it. I did enjoy it quite a bit. But anywho, it's box office. So prediction wise, I predicted like 11 to 12 million. Final total like 30 to 40 million. It hit 10.8 million. Literally this and Best Christmas Pageant Ever were more or less tied. I mean, look how close that is. That's only like $50,000. Well, that's really close. So Heretic just got the edge there. His legs weren't as good as I thought they would be. It's been very so it's only made like 27 million, which isn't bad for A24 standards. It's like one of their better performing movies. So yeah, I mean, it was a hit for them. It found a bit of an audience, me being a part of that audience. And yeah, it was a nice little hit, just like Best Christmas Pageant Ever. So we went from November 1st with no hits to November 8th, where we had 2 minor hits. So, improvement. Okay. Then what else? Small things like these. I predicted an opening weekend. I think it was like a million. Final total by 2 to 3 million. It hit less than 600K. So that's a yikes. It went nowhere at all. It only made like 1.5 million. I mean, you think with like Cillian Murphy. Yeah, I don't think I'm saying his name right. I say it's Cillian. Whatever, like after like Oppenheimer fame, you think this would do a little better, but I mean, it was never going to do that great anyway because it's very much under the radar. But I thought it'd do a little better, but oh well, it's not like it's going to matter that much. He has his Oscar, so like who cares, right? But yeah, small things like these didn't go anywhere. I didn't talk about Overlord the Sacred Kingdom because it wasn't a wide release, so I didn't make a video on it. But 1.6 million, I mean, I guess that's fine for what this is, I guess. I've never heard of this thing. But what's last? Weekend in Taipei. Oof. I predicted an opening weekend of, I think it was a million, maybe. A lot of these are grouped together. I can't tell it doesn't matter. A million, final total of like 2 million. I don't remember. Not like it matters because it really went nowhere. It couldn't even open with a million. It couldn't even open with like 500K. Only made like 380K opening weekend, and then it fell 90% the next weekend. Lost all its theaters. It was just over. So only 600K. That is just humiliating. And considering this is from Ketchup Entertainment, I would be kind of worried about that animated Looney Tunes movie coming out in February. I don't know how that'll do. That movie's a real wild card. But if Ketchup Entertainment keeps having results like this, then yeah, box office expectations for that Looney Tunes movie are going to be very grim. So that was November 8th. It's a little better than the first, but still not very good. And then we move on to November 15th. So first we have A Real Pain. I predicted an opening weekend. I think it was like 2 million something. Final total of like 5 to 10 million. Uh, what did it hit? 2.2 million. Look at that. And it's now made 7 million. So it hit my expectations, which isn't that great considering my expectations weren't high to begin with. But I was accurate at least. So yeah, not much else to really say about this. So we move on to Red One. Ooh, Red One. Yeah, this is a movie that was definitely intended to be like a big money blockbuster, but even I knew I didn't think it was gonna happen. As I said in my thumbnail, like this feels like it has a made by committee vibe. It feels like this was like pitched by a bunch of executives thought of this movie like this is it. We have it all. We have the perfect holiday blockbuster. We have all these big names, big budget, big everything. This is going to make money, and that just didn't happen. not not at all. So opening weekend I predicted like 30 35 million. Its final total 110 to 150 because I assumed maybe the Christmas legs would kick in because Christmas movies historically have pretty long legs, like Elf and Polar Express to name a few. So, I thought maybe Red One would have the same treatment. It's not really. It only opened with like 32 million, which for a movie that cost like 250 million was really 250 million. That's embarrassing. That's about the same level as If, and If only cost like half as much. So it looks really bad. So next weekend it fell off because of Glicked. It recovered at Thanksgiving, predictably, and its legs have been kind of whatever, so. And it's now made 93 million domestically. It could crawl to 100 million, but I feel like Sonic 3 and Mufasa are really going to eat into this movie's box office, whatever box office there's left. And that might cost it 100 million. Like if it can reach 100 million, that won't save it financially, but it will at least allow it to save a little bit of face, to be part of the elite group of 100 million movies that came out this year. But that's the least this movie can hope for at this point. And worldwide, 176 million compared to its budget, terrible. Now I know it recently premiered on Prime Video, and it apparently had a really good viewership. I think like 50 million viewers. So, I mean that's good, I guess, but doesn't change the fact that the movie just like, okay, I know this movie was meant to be a streaming movie, and then pivoted to theatrical. I know that, but like this whole thing, the same thing with the Apple movies. Like, shouldn't you want your movie to do well in theaters and on streaming? Like, isn't that the goal? Like the ideal scenario? Or am I just crazy? Because we've had plenty of movies, like big movies, that do really well in theaters, and then once they hit streaming, they do really well there. So like that's what you'd want, right? So I know a lot of people would call this a flop. I don't know if Amazon calls it a flop, but I think I'm gonna call it a flop too. Especially for The Rock, like his box office standards, this is pretty weak, which is probably why they announced Jumanji 3 when they did. Because initially I thought the timing of the announcement was very random, but then I realized, oh, they're announcing this to distract from the fact that Red One's not going to do very well. Not to mention, friggin' the live action Moana, that it's been filming too. So, at least even with a flop like this, The Rock has some movies in his back pocket. Okay, so he's smart enough to have that. But yeah, Red One, it's probably going to be like a Christmas movie people watch for decades to come. I'd argue there are far better movies out there you could watch, like Elf. Elf will forever be a classic. And even the Grinch movies. I never saw the Illumination Grinch movie, but Jim Carrey Grinch, I'll watch that. It's like that. There's so many other Christmas movies you can watch besides Red One. There's so many better movies, but I feel like this is just gonna be, watched for decades to come. Whether anyone wants to watch it or not, it's just gonna be there as an option. So yeah, that was November 15th. So this was the end of like the bad period of November, where it's just nothing going on, nothing's clicking that well, everything's looking bleak. But then November 22nd, that's when everything changed, and it sure as shit wasn't because of Bonhoeffer. I can tell you that. So Bonhoeffer, let's get this over with real quickly. I predicted an opening weekend of like 5 million, final total of like 15, 20 million. It hit 5. It's only made like 12 million. Its run is just about over. It was very front loaded. Its opening weekend was like so brutal. Like Friday to Saturday at 48%. That's as bad as Joker 2. But I don't know, maybe some numbers were like pushed into that Friday number, like an artificial boost or something. That might explain it. But yeah, and I thought Thanksgiving might help it. Didn't. So yeah, this result doesn't surprise me. I mean, releasing a movie like this the same weekend as Wicked and Gladiator II, what did you think was going to happen? Right? Like, do you think, people who weren't going to watch those two movies are going to be like, I want to watch something else? No. People were only going to watch Wicked and Gladiator II, and that's it. They weren't going to watch this. And literally, history is about to repeat itself this weekend with Sonic 3 and Mufasa and what was the other movie? Homestead. Same shit, same scenario, and it's just gonna play out the exact same way. But I'll talk about that when I make my prediction videos tomorrow. But yeah, Bonhoeffer went unseen. No one cared about it, and we move on to Gladiator 2. The first half of Glitz. So Gladiator 2 took 24 years to come into existence. That first movie is literally as old as I am. Like it's slightly younger because I was born sooner. Because the first Gladiator was like in May. I was born in January. So yeah, I'm older than the first Gladiator movie. So yeah, it took a long ass time. The announcement of this movie's existence was really strange. I'm like, why would this really need a sequel? But Ridley Scott said, I'm gonna do it, and I was like, okay, go off, I guess. And so, opening weekend, I predicted 55 to 65 million. Final total 150 to 200 million. It hit 55 million, so good for me. Its legs have been fine. That 59%, that's because of post Thanksgiving. I mean, I can show you what post Thanksgiving looks like. It's pretty rough historically, and this year was no exception. But yeah, it's hit 148 million. It will soon pass 150, so it will hit my predictions. And okay, realistically, this movie's not that big of a hit. It's actually kind of a bit of a flop because it cost 250 million, so 400 million. That's not great at all. It's really not. But I mean, for Paramount standards, this year, this year's been kind of quiet. I mean, they've only had like two underperformers. Everything else is done fine. They will have a big hit with Sonic 3 though this weekend. I know it, but I guess compared to their other movies, this isn't that bad. And compared to other flops of 2024, this looks great compared to Joker 2 and Fall Guy and Furiosa. It looks spectacular because this is done way better than all of them, even if it's not a hit. But I mean, this is still one of Ridley Scott's bigger movies. It's Denzel Washington's biggest movie. So, he's got that to brag about. And it did better than nearly every November movie that came out last year, except Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. Every other, compared to like the Marvels last year, like it looks just just immaculate. Its box office is immaculate compared to that thing. So yeah, Gladiator 2, I'm not gonna call it a hit, but compared to other, under other movies, other expensive flop-esque movies, it looks pretty good compared to those. I mean, at least people went to see it. It drew a decent crowd. The only problem is the budget was just too big. But now for the second half of Glicked. Wicked. I knew for a long time this movie had the potential to be big. Because why else would Universal release a Super Bowl trailer for a movie that was going to come out in November? Right? Like, why would you do that if you didn't have confidence in your movie? Right? It would make no sense. So the fact that they did that told me, yep, they know they're going to build this up as a big event, as a big deal. And that's what it turned into. So opening weekend, I predicted 120 million. Final total like 400 million. Hit at 112 million, which was the 10th biggest opening for November. It was quickly kicked out of that list by the next movie I'm going to talk about. But yeah, Wicked, like the Thanksgiving period from like the 22nd to like the 1st, this thing was popping off like crazy. Look at these numbers. Like 46, 35, 30, 15, 16, 20, 16, 31, 29, 20. Like this thing was going crazy. Made 263 million in 10 days. That's a lot. That's a whole lot. And it's just refusing the fall off. It's now made 367 million domestically. I mean, compared to other Broadway adaptations, this demolishes them. It's not even close. I mean, Mamma Mia, Into the Woods, this Hairspray, Les Mis, this crushes them all. Except, well, overseas, Mamma Mia is still like number one, but Wicked might overtake that. But domestically, it's head and shoulders above all Broadway adaptations. And it's one of the biggest hits of the whole year. I think it's the third biggest of 2024. I might have to look off screen real quick. Let me see. Yes, number 3. Although Moana 2 is probably going to overtake it in the end. But yeah, these are spectacular numbers for Wicked. I mean, no one can deny that. Overseas is not doing as hot, but that's not super surprising. The Oz property has never been a big player internationally, but it's doing well in some international markets. I mean, it's doing really well in the UK. I think it's made over 50 million over there. So, yeah, Wicked, undisputed success. No question. And I know Universal's has to be feeling real giddy about Wicked for Good, aka Wicked Part 2. So I know they're feeling real giddy about that. And I saw Wicked. I saw it like the day after Thanksgiving. And it was packed, dude. Like I knew this thing was like like a huge deal, judging by the crowds. And I saw it as someone who's not really a huge musical guy. I gotta say, I dug it. I really liked it. Ariana Grande, as a Glenda. I mean, I remember when I was watching it, she got a ton of laps from the audience because of her comedic timing. Like, she was great. Cynthia, forget her name. Cynthia Erivo as Alphaba. She did great as well. Both of them had really good chemistry with each other. And like just seeing like the Wicked Witch basically just get villainized because she wanted to be true to herself, and she didn't want to, just ignore shit. It kind of hurt to watch, see her just get villainized like that and have this reputation that was like completely unearned, but because she didn't, she wasn't, I guess, following like the script of Oz, they say, nope, you're bad. And yeah, like the final part of Wicked, like the final, moments of it, I was just like, whoa, and the crowd with me, applauded, and it was a great time. So I highly recommend Wicked. I'll definitely watch Wicked for Good next year. And yeah, Wicked was a great flick. I'm glad it's doing well. This is very much showing that musicals are not dead. There is like this talk, musicals it's over. they're all bombing like in the Heights, Dear Evan Hansen, West Side Story, Cats, Joker 2. But this disproves that theory pretty much, very much. So, yeah, Wicked, smash hit, and wasn't the only smash hit in November. Oh no, no, we end with Moana 2. Okay, so Moana 2. So the road to release for this thing was interesting because this wasn't even meant to be a movie. No, this was supposed to be a Disney Plus show. That's how it was developed. That's how it was made. But then February, I think it was Bob Iger. He was like, oh, he announced that the series was going to be reworked into a movie, so it could release Thanksgiving. So it's very much like those Disney like direct to DVD sequels, some of them where it was literally just like a few episodes of a TV show, and they were just like those episodes like stitched together to create some type of narrative or just be like separate adventures like that. And then they're like, boom, this is the sequel. I think Atlantis did this. I know Tarzan Jane was this as well. So Moana 2 is kind of like that, except higher quality. But I was like, okay, sure, whatever. Will people care that much about Moana 2? And this was around the same time. I was like, will people really care that much about Inside Out 2? And then Inside Out 2 became the biggest animated movie of all time. And I was like, well, I guess I was wrong. People do care. So after Inside Out 2 became, the monster hit that it was, I knew I shouldn't underestimate Moana 2. So I was thinking, okay, this will probably do fine, I guess. Probably, maybe a little bit of an increase from the first movie. Nothing crazy. Then, Thanksgiving happened, and well. So, opening weekend, I predicted it was like 3-day and 5-day. 5-day was like 170 to 200 million, and the 3-day was like 100 million, I think, close to that. And its total, I think it was like 400, 500 million. And I wasn't even thinking it would hit that high for Thanksgiving. I thought it would make like a little over 100 million over 5 days. And then shit got real crazy. Like 13.8 million Tuesday night preview. Like that's something you would expect Thursday night, not Tuesday. And then its opening was 57 million. I was like, what the fuck is happening? What is going on? Then fell off a bit Thanksgiving, which is predictable. Then it went up the rest of the weekend. It made 139 million opening weekend, 225 million for the 5-day weekend. That is fucking crazy. Like that destroys all Thanksgiving records. Like, and then some. I mean, it's one of the biggest openings ever for the month of November. It's number 5. The only ones that did better were Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, Catching Fire, New Moon, and Breaking Dawn Part 2. So, and it did better than Frozen 2, and that came out the week before Thanksgiving. So, and there was Wicked, which was number 10, but then I got bumped out to number 11. But yeah, seeing these two movies, Wicked and Moana 2 making the money they did was just insane to behold. I mean, the holiday period, the whole Thanksgiving period, the 5 days was like 420 million. That's a good 100 million over the previous record, which was like 315. Like, that's insane. And that helped 2024 quite a bit in the year-to-year comparison. I mean, it went from like, I think 11% between the years to like 5%. So, yeah. No, those two movies really helped out a lot. And what's really interesting is that the movie, like Moana 2 and Wicked, they didn't hurt each other, which surprised me. I thought, considering both movies had a similar demographics, or both similar genres, I thought they would, there'd be a little bit of cannibalization, but no, these two movies have lived in harmony, and they're just crushing everything else in sight. So, I mean, that's great for the box office. Absolutely great. Its legs have been kind of had a bit of a rough post-Thanksgiving drop, but nothing too crazy. And it's made 344 million so far. It will pop off a bit after Christmas. Same goes for Wicked. Like once Christmas, happens, then the movies, both this and Wicked, are gonna get artificial boost, and that will push Moana 2 to reaching over 400 million. Same goes for Wicked. So yeah, I mean, and compared to like the first Moana, like this is such a huge increase. Like, I mean, look at the first Moana, like domestically, like it just shot past that. Worldwide, it's not doing well as hot as it is domestically, but that could change because Christmas and whatnot. I feel like it will ultimately hit 1 billion at the end of the day, and if it can, then that'll be Disney's third $1 billion movie this year. And man, what a comeback they've had this year compared to last year. Last year was so awful, so horrible. It was just L's everywhere. Very few wins. This year, though, it's been the polar opposite. So, like Disney, it's literally 2019 all over again for Disney, a bit to a less extreme degree because they had less movies, they released less movies. But yeah, Moana 2, and the thing is, I didn't realize how popular the first Moana was. I knew it was popular, obviously, but apparently Moana was the most streamed movie of all time on Disney Plus. So I didn't really know that beforehand. That really should have gave me like a sign that Moana 2 was probably going to do better than I would have expected. So that's on me. But yeah, Moana 2 smash hit, and yeah, that was November. So November ended with a fucking bang. Sorry, a fucking bang, dude. Like it was just incredible to witness. So but it did so well that the rest of the month really didn't matter, not one bit. So November was exactly what 2024 needed to not end in embarrassment. And now we're in December. So how's December looking right now? It's not, well, as of this moment, it's not looking great. Nothing's popping off. Craven's a disaster. War of the Rohirrim, that's a disaster too. So yeah, it's been pretty not great. That's going to change though this weekend with Sonic 3 and Mufasa, I guess. And then you got all the Christmas movies. But really it's going to be about Sonic 3. So yeah, no, December is about to really like kick off this weekend. Like the real December box office is going to kick off. And with November holdovers with Moana 2 and Wicked, that's really going to help out December, and I think it's going to help 2024 end on a really high note, which is great considering how the year started. The year started so terribly, but now the box office is in a really good place. So so that was November recap. So that's it. That's all. Make sure to subscribe, like this video, leave a comment, turn on notifications, share the whole drill. And want to check out more videos like this, I got playlists on the homepage. All previous recap videos I made on the channel. My December recap, that'll be at the beginning of January, probably it's probably the first 2 weeks, probably the second week of January. That's when I'll make it. And then I'll have to do my 2024 recap video. That's probably going to be two videos. I don't think it needs to be 3. Winners and losers. And let me tell you, 2024 has been real interesting. I never, like, Inside Out 2, I would have never guessed that would be number 1 for the year. No, I would have guessed it would be Deadpool and Wolverine. But nope. So yeah, overall the 2024 recap, those 2 parts, winners and losers, that will also be in January. So stay tuned for that as well. There's also box office predictions where I predict box office for movies. Every movie I covered here, like in any real detail, I made a prediction video for. So if you want to watch any of those videos, and not to mention I'm going to be making prediction videos this weekend for Sonic 3, for Mufasa and Homestead. And then Tuesday, Christmas Eve, I'm going to be making my prediction videos for Baby Girl, A Complete Unknown, Fire Inside, and Nosferatu. So stay tuned for those as well. But if you want to watch any of my past recap videos, prediction videos I made on the channel, you can go right ahead. There's also the canceled series where I went over all the movies that were supposed to come out but didn't. There's 250 episodes. You want to binge all of them, go right ahead. And yeah, that's it. That's all. I am out. Goodbye.